Hey everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. It is 7 o'clock Sunday evening, time for Sunday night live chat. As always, we are on two formats, Facebook and YouTube. So I've got two screens up, two cameras on. So as I'm glancing back and forth, I'm keeping track of comments on both monitors. We'll see what happens with Facebook tonight. I am on fiber internet now, but we were still having feed issues last week. So we'll see how that works. Lots of people are already jumping on with us on YouTube. Bill's here with us. Bill says he commented before we went on because for some reason his YouTube is not letting him comment while we're live. So at least we know he's there. He threw one up there, so we know he's hanging out with us, and we know he's here. So Thomas is here. Old School's here. Old School, can we do the raffle on the 1st? I'll be at Meekum, so we're gonna have to do it next weekend. Kim's here. Chris is here. So got a good crowd jumping on YouTube already. Lee from New York is on. We are on Facebook as well. There we got a few comments popping up. Lance is on Facebook with us. So, we first tonight. We're not going to actually do the drawing until next weekend. So, we talked about that last weekend. I'm going to do the drawing next weekend is what we decided last week. So, the drawing won't be until next Sunday night. Good friend Mike's on Facebook, and as of right now, we'll keep our fingers crossed. As of right now, Facebook is working, so we'll see what happens. Big Job's on. That one came through, Bill, so maybe you're working again because you did that comment did pop up. Dan's here. Alan NC is here. Scott's here. BW is here. I got your message, BW. I'll try to get back with you tomorrow. I did get your voicemail. Glenn's on with us. Scott's on Facebook, so great crowd jumping on, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar names on with us already. Glad you guys came back and glad you continue to come back. So that's right, Bill, that one popped up too, so maybe things are clearing up on your end where it's letting you go through. Charles is on with us. So anyway, as always, if we get trolls on here, I'm going to ignore them, and you guys do a great job of running them off, so I'm going to leave that up to you. If we do get a troll on here, that you guys are great about taking care of that. Don from Nashville is on Facebook. He's going to give it a shot and see if Facebook hangs in there. I think you did jump over to YouTube last time, but we'll see what happens. Facebook is still actually giving me error messages, so don't know what the deal is there. I did not get new what do I need to get new I forgot. The new routers or whatever for the internet. I have not gotten that yet. Just didn't have time. So we're going to go with what we've got for now until I have time to get some new ones. It'll probably be a couple of weeks since I won't be in town next weekend until Sunday night. So Kevin made it. Joe says Facebook is not working well on his end. So as always, if you're on Facebook, you can always jump over to YouTube. We've been having a lot better luck with the feed. I'm not real sure as to what's going on with Facebook here recently. This last month or two, Facebook has been really, really weird. Not just with videos, but with posts and with ads. When I've boosted posts, there's just been a lot of weird stuff going on Facebook. I don't know. I haven't had time to really sit down and dig into it and start studying it. I need to because I know the results I'm getting on what I do is not what I'm used to seeing. And I help so many people with their Facebook pages that I got to try to figure out what's going on with Facebook. Let's see. Kevin, number one's here. Scott was through Great Bend today. You should have given me a shout while you were here. You got that 68 Mustang in Larned. I seen that on Facebook. I was wondering how bad that car really was. Let's see. Jimmy's here. Looks like we're getting caught up. Mark's here. We've got a lot of people on YouTube saying hi to each other, so I'm just trying to make sure I sort through those and try not to miss anybody. But anyway, so I don't really what the deal is with Facebook, but it is definitely different than what it was 6 months ago. Brandon's on YouTube. I'm going to start doing some research and try to do a little bit of digging on it and try to figure out what's going on. Scott said that Mustang was bad. He said it had a few pieces he needed. Yeah, I looked those pictures over pretty close, and it looked like that car was about to break in half when I seen it on Facebook, so I never called on it. Any dash trim for a 57, number one? There again, what kind of 57 are we talking about? What dash trim are we talking about? Because I've got a lot of things that fall under 57. Loch Ness Fox is on. Oh, maybe that was for BW. Okay, yeah, because I've got his message. So, but anyway, yeah, like I said, that Facebook went to they're trying to push people to use Business Suite for a lot of things on there, for a lot of posts and stuff. And since they went to this big push on Business Suite, things have been definitely different on Facebook. I don't know what's causing it. I don't know what they changed. That's some of the stuff I've got to start figuring out, and maybe that'll affect some of these feeds. But it's definitely different. And like I said, maybe I need to talk to my buddy Mike Gowans, who's an expert at this stuff, and see if he's run across anything. But Facebook is definitely not acting the same as it was 6 months ago. We've been having trouble with these feeds for several months, but I'm seeing it not just on lives, but on even on regular posts and everything now. Rick from North Carolina is on Facebook. Darren's here on YouTube. Lance had to switch over to YouTube as well. Scott said that Mustang he got was from Cincinnati. That's why it probably looked like it was about to snap in half then. CB's watching from Michigan, so that's right, old school. You can always leave Facebook. We do still have some people that try to get on and watch us on there, and even though it's not working well, we still don't want to exclude them either. So, Scott, on Business Suite, does it make you log in like a profile? All my pages just have a tab that says, post in Business Suite or post in Facebook. So I've been trying to start using Business Suite just to try to figure out what it entails, how it works, what it's supposed to do, things like that. So, like I said, I'm pretty green to it. Compared to my buddy Gowans and what he knows, I don't know anything. So something I've got to start figuring out. Number one, this group is too intelligent for Facebook. Well, that's actually good to know, because that's a good way to put it, because that's, and there is a lot of truth to that. I mean, Facebook, and that's one thing a lot of people don't realize about Facebook. Facebook will show you, and Facebook is designed to show you what you want to see, one way or the other. Wherever your political views are, whatever you're for, whatever you're against, Facebook tracks all that. They know what you click on. They know what you like. They know what interests you. So because of that, that's what they feed you. It doesn't necessarily have to be true, but it doesn't matter if you're for A, B, or C, whichever one your clicks tend to favor is what Facebook is going to show you more of. Doesn't matter what it is. They can track what you favor based on what you're looking at, and that is the information that they will push out to you and feed to you. I mean, it's designed that way. Let's see, lots of stuff popping up here. Don from Nashville just switched over to YouTube because Facebook's lagging. Loch Ness Fox, how's the weather in Kansas? Kansas, it's been beautiful here for the last few days. It was 60-some degrees near and sunny here today, I think. So far, I mean, it's going to change quick. I know that, but I'm taking it while I can. Eloy made it. Mark, how's the new stock looking? Had a couple of them come in this week. We'll talk about here after a while. No Cadillacs this week. Loch Ness Fox says, so does YouTube. YouTube feeds you what you want to see too. Bill says, sounds like 1984. Yep. And that's old school, says YouTube does that as well. Yep. I mean, these sites cater to you because they want you to keep coming back. They track what you click. They track what you like. That's what they show you more of. And then you keep coming back. It's all by design. You have to know that. If you don't know that, then you become one of the sheep. If you don't understand that, you're being fed this, and if you can read it, absolutely, but you've got to read it, and then you've got to make your own decision as to whether or not you think it's correct, and do more research, because they're going to feed you whatever they think you want to see. And taking that time and doing your own research and doing your own studying and doing your own analyzing and looking at all sides of an issue is the only way you're going to come up with an actual fair answer. Let's see. Half-ass Heart Rat Rods is here. Jason's on with us. Glad you made it, Jason. Dan's here. Darren, big tech has brainwashing down. There's a lot of truth to that. They know how to do it. Eloy, any 38, 39 Chevy 2-doors or 4-doors? I've got a few, but there's not much left of any of them. Old school Jeff, just like the vaccines, says old school. Number one, 1981 Pontiac Phoenix 4-door hatchback running and driving popped up in his local classifieds. It's got to be worth a 6-pack, yeah. And there again, it's something different. That's what I like about any of that stuff, because it's different. James is back. He's made it back with us. Loch Ness Fox, my email inbox is nothing but what I've searched throughout the day, and that's exactly right. And that's all by design. And Tim's here with us. Got a great crowd with us tonight. YouTube's really building. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and throw a share out there, see if this thing hangs in. Same thing on YouTube. Let your friends know that we're on here, and let them jump over and hang out and have a good time with us. As always, super chats are awesome. We've been having some guys throwing some super chats out. Those are great too, helping support what I'm trying to do here. So that's always great. I appreciate that. Terry's on with us. Glad you're here, Terry. Let's see, Mark, where are we located at? The one I work at is in Maryland. And Mark works at the yard where they filmed Junkyard Empire. We're actually located in central Kansas, Mark. Great Bend, Kansas is where we're located at. But anyway, hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I just went out and had lunch. We all went out to my sister's house. I had lunch, and I came back shop and went back to work. So took a couple hours off, but that was about it. So it wasn't too big of a deal, because there's always stuff that needs to get done. So, and that's right, Bill. I appreciate that. Bill says hit the like button. That's great too. I appreciate the support that. Mark, do you buy classics from out of state? Not typically, just based on logistics. It just depends on what it is and what it's going to take to get it here. Most of the stuff I buy, and I'm literally just right about smack dab in the middle of Kansas. So most of my stuff comes from Kansas, just because of the simple fact that it's 2 or 3 hours to any border, even the north or south border, and east or west border, I'm 4 or 5 hours. So the logistics of getting the stuff here just doesn't really work. So it just depends. I have before, but typically it doesn't work out that well as far as going to have the time to go get them or cost of shipping, things like that. So most of my stuff comes from Kansas. Plus I've also got, my metal's pretty good in Kansas and things like that. And I'm familiar with what I'm dealing with. And not all of Kansas. There's some areas of Kansas that are wetter than it is here that is prone to more rust out. But my area here, I've got pretty decent quality on what I get in, and I know with what I'm dealing with. So for the most part, it all comes from Kansas. So I hope everybody else had a great Thanksgiving and had a good time, and hopefully nobody ate too much. I know I just had one plate. By the time I got a little bit of everything on the plate, it was full. So Mark has a pair of Lincolns, a 72 and 77 2-door Continentals. Yeah, that's yeah. You're in Maryland, so yeah, the shipping on those things would be terrible. Cassiano's on with us again. Glad you're here. And anyway, picked up a few new ones this week. Got a bunch more parts processed. I've been pushing hard for winter. Like we've been talking about on here, I try to get a whole bunch of parts cleaned up off of vehicles processed for winter to go on eBay and things like that. So getting close to being done with that project. That's why I didn't have time to haul many cars. I've been really pushing to get a big stockpile of parts built up for winter. I'm kind of like a squirrel gathering nuts right now, getting things piled up for winter. That way, if it is cold and nasty, the only time I have to go out and pull parts is stuff for sold orders. I don't have to just pull inventory to be for eBay or whatever. So kind of feel like a squirrel gathering nuts right now, getting stuff ready for winter, but I've been on a big push for that. Number one, Kansas on a list for NHL expansion cities destinations. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I've never heard of any talk about putting an NHL team here. There was in Wichita, there was an amateur hockey team. I think it was the Wichita Thunder or something. I don't know if they're still around or not, but that was the only thing remotely close to me for hockey. But anyway, plus I'm getting ready to leave, so I can be gone next weekend. Scott needs to own aftermarket radio knobs. But Mecum, Kansas City next weekend. I don't know if any of you guys are planning on attending or not. I know some of you guys are in eastern Kansas, up around Missouri, or from anywhere else for that matter. If you're planning on catching Mecum, Kansas City next weekend, we do plan on being there for the duration. So if you're going to be around, be sure to look me up, hit me up, let me know you're going to be there. Stop and say hi. We've got a pretty good group going. There's going to be at least 10 or 15 in our group. One car going back in our group to be sold, so I don't know what's going to be possibly coming home with us. So that's always exciting. If we, some guys in our group get some stuff bought, we'll sure try to bring you that content as well. So, and thanks, Bill. And that's one great thing. Bill's a big supporter of us, and he's always telling everybody hit the like button, and that's great. That helps out too. And I don't even think about that, Bill. So I'm glad you helped remind everybody of that. And plus, you're working again. Last couple of weeks, Bill's comments haven't been feeding while we've been live. So, but anyway, Mecum, Kansas City is shaping up to be a heck of an auction. I looked the other night, and they've got 635 cars, and that was as of the end, like last Wednesday before Thanksgiving break. So I've got a feeling they're going to be well over 700 cars. It's going to be a full house. It's going to be a great weekend. We always have fun. Great group of guys that we go with. And it's just kind of a mini getaway. Like I said, there's a bunch of us. We've got a hotel we stay at. We get a bunch of rooms there, and just go to the auction, hang out. You get to watch all these cool cars roll across the auction block, hang out with all your friends. It's just a good couple of days off. The hotel we stay at, they've got a bar and restaurant. So hang out in the bar, drink some beer, have some food every night. And it's a good couple of day getaway. And that's why we do it. Sometimes somebody buys something, somebody does. Sometimes nobody buys anything. But I got a feeling something tells me this time somebody's going to be in our group to bring something home. Probably won't be me, but some of the guys I know are kind of interested in looking at a few things. But it's always a good time. So if any of you guys are going to be there, be sure to look me up. Or if you're anywhere close and even thinking about going, it's well worth it. Even just go for a day and wander around and look at cars. It's a 700 car show. And that's one great thing about auctions. That's why we started our auction here with my partner Chris and I, because you get to see a ton of cool cars in one place and everybody gets to hang out and have a good time. It's pretty tough to go too wrong in a deal like that. So we'll be heading up there at the end of the week. And like I said, be sure to look me up if you're going to be around. Loch Ness Fox had a great holiday. Always wanted a 41 Ford commercial truck, and wants the blue 56 ton and a half. I've got the 56 ton and a half still sitting here. I mean, you can own it. In fact, there's actually a 41 ton and a half sitting right behind it as well. The 41 commercial, it is a ton and a half, so it doesn't have a bed on it, but there's a pretty much complete 41 commercial chassis cab ton and a half sitting right behind that 56 as well. So send a truck out, we'll load them both up for you. You can have, I got two of them sitting there. We can load them up. You can have both of them. You can add both of them to your collection. I'll make you a package deal on the price on the pair of them, and you can have both of them in one shot. But because those commercials, those 4041R commercials are a very unique truck, and a lot of people don't even realize that that the 4041 Ford commercial is a different truck, and I deal with that constantly. People come and say, I need parts for a 44 truck. You ask them which one, and they don't have any clue. I mean, you've got the half ton, you got the commercial, you got the COE, all different trucks. So, yeah, give me a shout, Loch Ness. I can hook you up, give you a package price on the pair. Then you got them both at one time. But anyway, how about some badges? I've got a pair of badges tonight we're going to check out. We're going to check out a Motor Trend tonight, talk about some new inventory, lots of things going on. Doug's on with us on YouTube as well. Hopefully you guys on Facebook are still hanging in there. We've still got a few people on there, so hopefully it's still working for you. Joe still wants some World War II aircraft stuff. Yeah, and I need to get some of that stuff worked in. Let me think about that, how I want to do that, whether we start working some pieces into Toy Tuesday or what we want to do. But just Don't hesitate to remind me, Joe. Stay on me. We'll get to some of it. Don't get me wrong. Darren says, it looks like there's going to be a ton of Mustangs at KC. There's a big collection of late model Mustangs just in one big block that I do know are going to be there. So, but like I said, regardless, it's always fun. It's always a good weekend. Oh, plus I got the new sticker from BW's Garage this week as well. I was going to show you all that. BW sent me this with a Christmas card. So BW's got new stickers out there. So be sure to check his channel out as well on YouTube. Scott says Facebook is still kicking. So we'll take that as a plus. If it's still working, that's great. So, Jim, do World War II Wednesdays. Holy cow, that'd be another thing I'd have to try to put together. Okay, Joe, that's fine, Joe. You can remind me every week because I definitely want to get to it. And here's my problem. You need to keep reminding me because I've got to think about and replan that in my brain because I'm sitting here thinking what cars I got to do, what new inventory do I got to cover, what do I got to have for Toy Tuesday, things like that. So, so just stay on me. We'll definitely get some of it. Big job. I've seen the Super Duty on Craigslist in the background. Yeah. Yep. It's for sale. I mean, it can be yours. It's got your name on it. Lori's on with us. But yep, the Super Duty sitting here ready to go. Big job. Just need to come pick it up. Badges tonight. I got a pair of them because they are related. We've talked about it on here a little bit before. I've always been a big Pontiac guy. I've got a lot of Trans Ams. I've got a 58 Pontiac. Kind of grew up around Pontiacs. When I was a little kid, it was kind of my favorite one because I had that 58. I had a 65 2+2 convertible I was always going to do that never got around to that I eventually sold. And the 2+2 was always been one of my favorite cars, especially the 65. I like the 66. The 64 is okay. The 67 is okay. But the 65 2+2 has always been one of my favorite cars, hands down. Loch Ness X trade, just take his Mustang in on trade and we can talk. Well, maybe we can. I don't know. Give me a call and send me some pictures and we'll see if we can work something out. I take trade-ins too. It doesn't matter to me. Number one, it's a big Sunday night to unpack. Turkey hunt, Thanksgiving special, badge engineering, sticker reveal. Yeah, we got lots of stuff going on. Yeah, it's getting busy. Yeah, Big Job says if we get that Lodestar sold, he still wants the Super Duty. But anyway, the 2+2s, like I said, I fell in love with the 65 when I was little, like 11, 12 years old. There were some people over by Topeka, some very nice people that were good friends of ours that had a beautiful 65 2+2 hardtop. And I absolutely fell in love with that car. Have always loved that car and have always loved the 65 2+2 because of it. And I did have that convertible for a while. But just like, it was one of those deals that wasn't going to get to it. Joe still looking for an oil bath air cleaner for a 283 and a 60 to 62 Chevy truck. Have not picked any of those trucks up here lately. So, but the 2+2 was a car that I've always admired and I've always loved. So that's where we're going to start with these badges. But these are engine related badges, but one of my favorite badges of all time, and it's related to the 2+2, and it wasn't strictly 2+2, but all the 2+2s had them. And I thought this was a really cool badge that Pontiac, or the badge is cool, but the placement is also cool. Big Job, maybe I need a fire truck for the yard. I don't think so. I don't think I need a fire truck. Jim, the 65 Pontiac was the longest car. Yeah, they did have huge quarters on the 65, 66 Pontiacs. There's no doubt about it. But this badge, like I said, one of my favorites, and not just because of the badge, but because of the placement of the badge. And here it is, and it's not very big. This thing is about almost 4 inches long. So it's a small badge, and it is a 421 badge. Now, what I thought was so cool about this badge, this is the badge that mounted on top of the fan shroud, basically. The metal panel that goes over the top of the radiator where the fan shroud is at, this actually mounted on that panel, and it mounted facing up like this. And I'll hold it from the side here. You can see how this badge is angled. because it didn't lay flat. It actually had kind of an upward appearance. So when you open the hood, you knew you were looking at a 421 powered Pontiac. Absolutely no reason whatsoever to put a badge under the hood that you could only see when the hood was open. Pontiac did it, and I thought it was a great touch. And there again, one of the things that I always admired about the 65 2+2s, obviously if you had a Catalina or a Bonneville, you could have this as well, but all 2+2s were 421 powered. So all 2+2s had this, and I always thought it was such a unique piece with the, the checkered flag and then the 421. And then, like I said, it sat at an angle. So it sat on that flat panel under the hood, but when it sat there, it was pointing up so you could read it while the hood was open. So obviously the 421 Pontiac engine, in the early to mid 60s was a legendary engine, only available up until 66, before they came out with the 400 and the 428. But so only made it for a handful of years. Obviously a performance-oriented engine, and no reason to put an emblem under the hood to tell you that unless they were just trying to show off their performance potential. So that's a good way to put it. Number one, a John DeLorean move, under the hood badge. So there again, no reason for it. And today we'd have a sticker, obviously. This is an actual metal badge, metal studs screwed on. I actually turned the nuts upside down so it would sit flat on its own on the shelf. Jim, Pontiac was always a notch above the rest. Yeah, I just thought this was such a great touch to put a badge under the hood. So when you pop the hood and open it up, it was staring you right in the face to know that you had bought a car with a 421 in it. Now, obviously, along with this, and this is just another little badge that I had on the shelf next to it, also a Pontiac badge. But obviously, like we talked about, the 421 went up to 66, and 67 they went to the 400 and the 428. The next badge that I have on the shelf next to it, and once again, this is a smaller ornamental badge. This one's just barely over 3 inches long, and it's the 428 badge. Now, the 428 only available 67, 68, and 69. This is actually off of a 69 Bonneville. This was a grill emblem off of a 69 Bonneville. And there again, this is a metal badge, regular studs, but this was an exterior emblem mounted right after the Bonneville badge on the front grill. So this was definitely put out there so people could see it, know about it, know what was happening, and know you were packing a 428. So there again, I had this on the shelf next to the 421, and we can hold them up size comparison. They're really cool sizes because they're not too big. They're not too gaudy. They're just kind of there. They did their job. They didn't have to be big. They didn't have to be flashy. They didn't have to make a big to-do out of something because they spoke their piece just by saying what they needed to say right there. So that's why I grabbed these two tonight. Obviously, being a 2+2 fan, being a Pontiac fan, and like I said, and over the years, I've grabbed hundreds and hundreds of badges and have certain ones that I have on the shelf. And both of these were on the shelf as a couple of my favorite ones. So hope you guys enjoyed them. That was the badge. That's the badge stuff for tonight. And like I said, some cool stories for me because that's a car that I've always been passionate about. Doug says, didn't know much about Pontiacs, getting a good lesson tonight. Joe says the only car he had was a 67 Firebird with a 326 in it. So anyway, that's what I've got on those. Hope you guys enjoyed them. Just the unique size, smaller, not in your face, and one under the hood kind of stands out as being pretty cool pieces. Anyway, get ready for a magazine. Al, on a Grand Prix, what did SJ mean? That I don't remember. And they had SJ, and I think they even had SSJ. And I'm not even sure what they actually, did use with that or why they used that. But that I don't know. No, I don't have a good answer on that. Loch Ness Fox, the second car was a 70 Formula 400 4-speed, one of his favorites. Yeah, that'd be a pretty unique car today, especially being a Formula. So let's get ready for a magazine. Haven't seen any comments pop up on Facebook in a while. I hope you guys are all still hanging in there with us. I'm trying to keep an eye on those comments as well. Even though YouTube's been scrolling pretty quick, and I'm trying to make sure I stay caught up with everybody here too. Dan says, great badges. Pontiacs are a weakness. Like I said, I've always been a fan of them. You know, I've had a lot of them, still do have a lot of them. Obviously, Trans Am's one of my favorites. I've actually got a GTO convertible. I think I do. I've got a guy's been supposedly working on it for years and doesn't have anything done with it. So I need to check back on that too. But my 58 Pontiac, which I do have a video on the 58 Pontiac that I did shoot probably a year or two ago, on the 58 Chieftain that I've got, that I've actually owned since I was 11 years old, I think. So might want to go back and check that video out as well if you like Pontiacs. It's on YouTube. So Loch Ness Fox says he didn't. I don't know, but they all had buckets and floor shifter. Yep. So tonight's magazine, gonna get back into the late 70s again, because just like we talked about last week, it's Thanksgiving. We got to try to see if we can we got to go on a turkey hunt and see if we can find any turkey tonight. So we are going to go back to Motor Trend. Number one, anyone ever hear of a Pontiac Monster? Saw a badge once on TV on an old Power Nation show, just a script badge. Thought it possibly be an abandoned Marine project. I've never heard of anything called a Pontiac Monster. Just strictly a monster. I've not heard anything like that at all. But we're going to go to the May 1978 issue of Motor Trend. Big full color cover with a Firebird on the front. And once again, so much cool stuff in this. I love looking back at these with 20/20 hindsight and seeing what's happening or has happened or did happen versus what they were talking about might be happening at that point in May of 1978. So when you keep that into perspective, as we go into this, May 1978 is the information that we're going to be looking at in this magazine. Starting off, as always, when we get into a Motor Trend with the Detroit Report. In the Detroit Report this month, a couple of very interesting things. Number one, also thought to be a ludicrous version of the Le Mans, like the TA is the Firebird. And I don't recall anything like that at all. And I've read a lot of Pontiac books, a lot of Pontiac magazines, and done a lot of studying on Pontiacs, and I don't remember any model being called the Monster. So Rusty Nails 11 was how old he was when he got his 68 Charger. Well, that was a good time to get one. You can still can afford to get them then. But in the Detroit Report this month in May of 78, they have an article called Pollution Phase 2. To help meet the stiff federal emission and fuel economy standards scheduled to go into effect in 1981, General Motors is planning to use its advanced Phase 2 emission control system on all gasoline-powered cars. Although this program is more than 2 years away, GM is taking all the appropriate tooling and material purchasing steps now. Now, this is kind of interesting. Details and final execution of the system will vary somewhat among the various divisions, but all of the cars will have three-way catalytic converters. This type of catalyst controls all three of the pollutants that so concern the environmentalists. The system will also use monitoring sensors, including one designed to sniff the exhaust gases, and an electronic microprocessor, a miniaturized computer. New car buyers may be paying on it an additional $150 to $200 on the average for the new system when they buy their 1981 model cars. So Pollution Phase 2, and it's got a picture, and what they're talking about, and this is what I thought made it kind of interesting, is this is the antique O2 sensor. This is the beginning of what we know today as the O2 sensor that probably has the check engine light in half vehicles that all of us are driving right now because of the O2 sensor. But this was the beginning of it. This was the phasing in of it. This was the development of it. They don't even call it an O2 sensor in here. But that's what was part of the Detroit Report. It was coming in May of 1978. The Breeze says the Can-Am, the 77 Can-Am was a Le Mans-based cool car, and that's true. The Can-Ams are great cars. I've always been a fan of those cars as well. Another segment of the Detroit report that was interesting was the T-top T-Bird. Something that was fairly short-lived. This was the bigger Thunderbird, and they were showing the T-top option that was just coming out available for those cars at this point in 1978. Continuing on the Detroit report, thought I missed something here. Something else that was coming or starting to come. Breezy, they had a super short run because the mold for the duckbill spoiler got broken. That was part of the problem with the Can-Am. Another part of the problem with the Can-Am production was they were using Grand Prix dashes, and Grand Prix were so popular at that point that Pontiac didn't want to give up extra pieces to build Grand Prix because they were selling so many of them. So, yeah, but I think the spoiler was an issue. The Grand Prix dashes were an issue. So they did not make a ton of those cars, and they are a neat car. My uncle's actually got one, and I've always thought those were a great car. But another piece in the Detroit report, more than skin deep. Number one, what was the car on top of that page with the T-Bird T-tops? That was just it was some sort of a Ford. I think it was a foreign Ford, but it was talking about, the Ford Fiesta is what they were talking about. We'll hold that up real quick so you can get a little better look at it right there. And then we'll flip another page to catch a little bit more of the Detroit report. Eric, dash for a 69 Le Mans convertible. I assume you're talking about a dash pad. All I have are cores. I don't have anything that's any good. BW Garage, a big fan of the 79 G-Body Grand Prix. G-Body stuff has been crazy. 65 dashboard. There again, I wouldn't have a good pad if that's what you need. So it depends on which pieces you need. I do have 365 Tempest and Le Manses in stock for parts. So if you want to give me a shout tomorrow, and we can go through some of the more details on that. But another article in the Detroit report, more than skin deep. For those of you who like the look of a convertible but never got around to putting the top down, the pioneers of the T-Roof, Hurst Performance, have just the thing. It's a vinyl top for your hard top to make it look like a convertible. Now, these were the basically caps that went on top of your roof that looked like a convertible, had like the bumps in them for the bows, and looked literally like a convertible top that you put on top of your steel roof. Randy's here. Randy, glad you made it, Randy. As far as I know, they're all white. I've never seen a Can-Am that wasn't white, factory. So you say you've seen silver and black, but I don't remember anything like that. All I remember is every Can-Am I remember was white. So that was another thing that was coming out in 78, were these roofs that made your roof look like a convertible roof, more so than just a regular smooth, flat steel roof. It gave you the look of a convertible without actually having it being a convertible. Another article that I found very interesting in the Detroit report was about airbags. In the fall of 1977, Representative Hamilton Fish Jr. of New York circulated a questionnaire to his constituents. On it were 13 questions, and number 12 read, do you favor reversing the mandatory installation of airbags in all automobiles manufactured beginning in 1981? That's right, Eloy. It's kind of like a Carson top. Yeah, BW's Garage says why. I don't know, but apparently they were popular enough that they were starting to produce them. So the way I read this is, at this point in May of 1978, there was a law on the books that by 1981, everybody's supposed to have airbags. The responses entered in the congressional record on December 8th were 30% no, 59% yes. Almost 60% of the people said they favored reversing the airbag law. Now, that's only one district, but I mean, obviously, we all know GM had airbags in the mid-70s. We know we did not start seeing them regularly until the late 80s, but I did not know that they were already trying to mandate them by 1981. according to what this article says. So that was news to me. Obviously, the GM had them in the mid 70s and they didn't take off. So maybe that's why it didn't get pushed through by 1981. One other thing in the Detroit report I want to catch is the evolution of the Firebird. Remember, this is May of 1978. So getting ready for the last variation of the Gen 2 Firebird, and they had a rendering of it right here, which was fairly close. Obviously, we know now they spaced the headlights out, but they did use the full rubber nose on the 79 Trans Am and Firebird family. So it was close, not quite, but close. But so there again, but we're looking back with 2020 hindsight at what they were thinking was going to happen at that point. So we'll flip up a couple of pages here to another another thing from the 70s that did not come to fruition, really. And this is in the new product section of Motor Trend that they were showing off. And one thing that definitely stood out, obviously we know square body pickups are crazy hot right now. And this was a prototype T-top truck produced by the American Hatch Corporation. They literally put T-tops in a Chevy pickup right here, if you guys can see it. Obviously, we all know now that that deal never really took off, but they sure tried it. They were T-topping everything apparently back in that era. And T-tops was a big deal, and they literally tried to put them everywhere, anywhere they could. Now we're going to flip up a few pages and start catching a few articles. One on the Dodge Magnum XE. Now, obviously, the Magnums were, a really pretty sporty, pretty cool car for their day. This is 78, so we're still talking a lot of black and white pictures, but the Magnums were really unique and something we don't see that often today. Ben, my 37 Street Rod. Wow, 1978, I was a sophomore in high school at that time with a new driver's license. I remember that Thunderbird. We referred to them as Thunder Chickens. But the Dodge Magnum XE, and this was an actual test, so we had test data from Motor Trend on the Magnum in this issue if you were car shopping. This Magnum did come with a T-top roof. It was powered by a 400 cubic inch Mopar. And, there again, these were not exactly the, rocket ships in this day. Ran the quarter in 18 seconds flat. The Breeze Magnum is a sporty Cordoba. That's pretty much what it was. It was kind of a sport version of a Cordoba. Lee's a big fan of T-tops. But, and there again, like this Magnum, it had T-tops, air conditioning, AM, FM, stereo, CB radio, power windows, power locks. Prices tested $8,813.55. The Magnums I've always thought were a cool car. They always had a good look to them, and they're definitely different and unique. So we'll flip up here another couple pages. Big Job says T-tops are great till they leaked on you. There's some truth to that too. Now, even though we pretty much stick with American cars on here because that's what I know the most, that's what I deal with the most, that's what I like the most. But there's one foreign car in here that just because everybody's going to remember this, I had to show it to you. How about the Lakar? Yep. They actually have an article on the Renault Lakar in this issue. You can even see the Lakar on the side of it. And it actually gave us some data on the Lakar. None of it very impressive, but it gave us some of it. basic, front engine, front wheel drive, hatchback, price as tested, $3,970. So, less than half the price of the loaded Magnum. Oh, that's right. Bree says, oh, it's even a GTL, whatever that means. Maybe that was the Sporty Lakar. I don't know. If it was the Sporty Lakar, it was packing an entire 60 horsepower, and it was putting 69.5 foot-pounds of torque to the ground. So these were definitely not a rocket ship. Randy says French version of a Yugo. That's about right. Eloy, that was one of the ugliest cars that they made, and it was just like the Ford Fiesta. Darren says Lakar, street legal lawnmower. Dan wants to know if they came equipped with fine Corinthian leather. I think for $3,970, I think you're lucky if you got vinyl on your seat springs. Get the luggage. Kim, that's the car for those that don't speak French. Alan NC says they had 3 lug wheels. And actually, I hadn't noticed that, but I'm sitting here looking at this drawing, and it does have 3 lug wheels. So you're right, it does have 3 lug wheels. Old school GTL stands for Great Transportation for Losers. That might have been it. I'm not sure. That could be. The Breeze. Nobody in those days would admit to wanting a Lakar or a Honda Civic. So, but we actually had performance data on the Lakar as well. Top speed, and I'm guessing this was downhill with a tailwind, was 91 miles an hour, and it blistered through the quarter mile in 19.87 seconds at 66 miles an hour. So, like I said, don't do a lot of foreign car stuff on here because I don't know anything about it, but I thought that was, I knew everybody would get a chuckle out of that and bring back some memories, whether they're good or bad. It would bring back some memories for some of you. All right, we'll flip up a couple more pages and we'll catch a couple more articles, and then we're going to get into ads. Something that is still extremely popular to this day, Jeeps. This is the Jeep twins, lookalikes with a personality conflict, CJ7 versus CJ5. Let's see. Number 1, Cold War Motors just restored and repainted a fairly solid example of one for a winter beater. I didn't know there was any solid examples of them left. Big Job says it will go over 100 as it goes over the cliff. And that could be true as well. Jason, the SJ basically just stood for Sports Grand Prix. S was for Sports. J was the letter designation for the trim. Okay, that makes sense. But in this article, it says the CJ7 is 10 inches longer than its brother. The extra length means a larger entryway and more cargo space behind the rear seat and a more comfortable ride. So it shows both Jeeps sitting here side by side. Old school. Renault and Ford have joined forces to create the perfect small car for women, mixing the Renault and the Ford Taurus. Yeah. Let's see. So like I said, obviously Jeeps have always been popular, and this was a comparison between the CJ5 and the CJ7. Because you got to remember, Motor Trend was a lot about selling new cars. Joe says 5s and 7s were both good Jeeps. And that's why they had all this data on these cars, prices, options, things like that, because that was all important to the people that were reading Motor Trend even today, but in 1978, which was what makes it so great to look back now with 2020 hindsight and be able to check that out. A couple more articles. The next article we're going to look at is the Fire Am, the Ultimate Trans Am. And this was a Herb Adams car. Herb Adams had actually worked for Pontiac, and then he went out on his own and he developed suspension kits for these cars back in the 70s to make them handle better. This one obviously had some other custom touches to it. But they were trying to crank them up a little bit, make them a little sportier, and make them handle a lot better. We can see they even had, racing buckets and harnesses and everything in these cars at that time. So, and that was primarily a lot of what they did was suspension mods to beef them up, make them handle, make them do everything that they looked like they could do. One more article I want to catch real quick, and then we got a bunch of great ads to check out in here. And this is another kind of specialty Pontiac, actually. The Pontiac Grand Am CA, a working model of tomorrow's midsize performance car. Now, I don't remember ever seeing these cars. I don't know much about them. I don't know if this was just a design study or if they actually made any of these, because obviously this is new information at the time. The Pontiac Grand Am CA, definitely a sportier looking version of it. If anybody else has anything on this, I mean, I'd be curious to know if you know any more about it than I do, because I don't remember ever seeing anything like this. But that doesn't mean they didn't make a limited production run of them. It did actually give some details about it, road test data on this. Get her flipped around here so you guys can see it. And this was powered by a 305, so it had a corporate engine in it. But like I said, not something not a car that I'm definitely familiar with at all. So would be curious to know if there's any more information on those out there, or if they even actually went into production. So time for some ads. Who wants to check out some cool ads? We always love looking at these old ads from back in the day. Starting off with another G-body, another oddball G-body that we don't see very often. The Cutlass Salon. This was kind of the hatchback version of the G-body. I mean, obviously everybody's familiar with the coupes. This was the hatchback version of it. Buick had one. In fact, Buick actually had a Turbo Century in this body style in 78, 79. So that was definitely a unique car. And there again, we don't see these hardly at all. So that's why that ad definitely stood out to me. Here's a great Firestone ad that is definitely 70s for a big sweepstakes that they had coming on. The Firestone Supertones Sweepstakes. And the Supers were a line of tires that they had. But what was so great about it is first prize was a Stones Performance Ford Econoline E150 street van. Second prize was a Stones Performance 4x4 Ford F-150 Macho Machine. And it even went down to where you could win a go-kart van. So I bet that was a pretty hot sweepstakes back in 1978. Custom van, custom truck, go-kart van, a lot of cool stuff given away in that promotion in 1978 by Firestone Tires. And obviously they do have to show off their super line of tires to go with their Supertone sweepstakes. But I thought that was a pretty neat ad and definitely giving away some 70s era prizes on that one. Jason, did they make a 442 that looked like that too? Yes, they did. They did make a 442 version of that hatchback type G-body. Now, I do remember seeing those, not very often, but I do remember seeing them. All right. Up next, Thanksgiving. Everybody said last week we had to have it since it's Thanksgiving week. Here it is on page 13. It's time for turkey hunt. There it is, the iconic wild turkey picture that was in 75% of the magazines that were published in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't know. I know I remember seeing this thing a million times when I was a kid. This is a little bit bigger ad. It actually has some text with it. How many box tops do you have to send in to win? But there's the turkey ad. Wild turkey. It's kind of become a thing around here of looking for the wild turkey ad in the late 70s magazines because, like I said, that ad was everywhere. They probably had it in Good Housekeeping at that time because I think I seen it in everything I ever remember looking at as a kid. So I think this picture was everywhere in the late 70s, early 80s. Wild turkey lore. The keenness of sight of the wild turkey is legendary among woodsmen. Because of the position of its eyes, the bird can detect the slightest motion in a circumference of 300 degrees. It seems fitting that the name of America's greatest native bird is also the name of America's greatest native whiskey, Wild Turkey Bourbon. So there we go. We got a turkey hunt in for Thanksgiving. There it is on page 13. So, and even a little bit more with some good information. And he actually showed a bottle of whiskey this time. But that picture was so common. All you had to do to see that picture, you knew what the ad was at that point in time. And Big Job's even going to throw up a drink salute to the wild turkey. So after the wild turkey, the next ad we're going to check out, and this is kind of a neat ad. And there again, full color, which we haven't seen a lot of color in this magazine. This is an AMC ad in full color for the Gremlin GT. If you want it any racier, paint a number on the door. For the Gremlin GT. Jason says he'll drink to that as well. So maybe we'll have to get a bottle of wild turkey so we can have a drink to the turkey ad from now on. But there again, trying to make the Gremlin sporty and make it something that it definitely had not been up until that point. You're trying to change the image of it a little bit. Next ad we're going to look at, once again, full color from Ford. And this is another car that we've touched on a little bit here. I've always thought these were a really good-looking car. I've always thought the stripe package stood out on it. Jason said he's already got that covered. So Jason's already a step ahead of us. For the 1978 Ford Ltd Ii. Now, these cars, this is a great-looking car. And I always thought the stripe package really made these cars stand out. You know, full color action shot. And I think Big Job has one of these. I don't remember if this is exactly like yours or not, but Big Job Gremlin was pretty fast with a V8, yeah. But I always thought the stripe package and the wheels and stuff on these for a late 70s car when performance wasn't really out there, I always thought these cars were pretty sharp. The Breeze, that's new to me, the GT Gremlins. So Old School says the stripe pops. Yeah, that's what I always thought. I always kind of thought that Ltd Ii was kind of a neat looking car. Randy, Gremlins with a 304 was wild. Yeah, there were some cool Gremlins. There were a lot of people who absolutely don't like them, but there's a lot of neat ones out there. That's right. Old School says that modern cars don't have stripes anymore. No, they really don't have a lot of stripe packages on stuff anymore. Big Job's car's a 76 Elite. Okay, that's right. How about a motorcycle ad? We don't do a lot of motorcycle ads either because, there again, I don't know anything about motorcycles, but I thought this ad was pretty cool. Number one, why was everything in the 70s a sequel for Ford? Was it because of Henry Ford II? I don't know. Never thought about it that way. Mustang 2, LTD 2. Yeah, they did have a lot of 2s back in the 70s. So, Old School modern cars don't even have door moldings anymore. Yeah, there's a lot of those styling cues that we just don't see anymore at all. This Harley Davidson ad, until you've been on a Harley Davidson, you haven't been on a motorcycle. The reason this ad stood out to me, it's all the way across the bottom of the page. It's got the iconic red, white, and blue number 1 at the bottom. But over here, down in this other far corner right here, it says AMF on it. Back when AMF actually owned Harley Davidson, that was, the era of this ad. And, when I was a little kid growing up, I thought, I didn't know much about motorcycles. My uncle had one, but his said AMF Harley Davidson on them. I just thought that's the way they all were. I didn't know any different at the time, but from when I was a kid, everything was an AMF Harley Davidson because that's all I knew at the time. So that's why that ad kind of stood out to me. BW's Garage, second-gen Camaro, Brandon 70s Dodge Dude. The 70s Dodge Dude was a cool truck. I like the Dodge Dudes. There was an article in Old Cars Weekly, I'm sure it was Old Cars Weekly, within the last week or two, within the last 2 or 3 issues on the Dodge Dude. I'm pretty sure it was in Old Cars Weekly on the Dodge Dude. Check that out. The Breeze says AMF was junk. Jason says up until 82. The Breeze says bikers won't even talk about them. Yeah, and like I said, and I know that that was kind of a bad era for them, but that's at that point I didn't know anything. I didn't know it was any different. The only Harley Davidson I was familiar with was my uncle had 76 Super Glide, and it said AMF Harley Davidson on them, so I thought that's what they all were. big job. My brother had an LTD too with buckets, console, and stripe package. So probably pretty similar to the car we just looked at. BW says he was just trying to fit in with the twos, so he threw up second gen Camaros. So, what other cool ads do we have to check out? Flip forward a few pages here. Number one says they had another term for AMF as kids, but you can't put that on the screen. So yeah, that'll probably put one of those gray boxes held for review type things if you're doing that. That's right. Scott's still with us on Facebook. Starsky and Hutch, all of Starsky and Hutch. Yeah, another Ford with a big stripe on it that definitely stood out. Now, the next ad we're going to look at inside centerfold for a Goodyear tire. But it definitely, you can't miss this ad with Richard Petty Dodge on it for the Goodyear ad. Pretty tough to miss that one. That one definitely stands out. The iconic STP colors of the Petty Mopar for Goodyear tires. Flip up another page, and once again, back to our G-bodies. Obviously, the G-bodies coming out in 78. Actually, I think at this time they were still technically called an A-body. I don't think they called them G-bodies right away. I think that, in May of 78, these were still probably technically an A-body, but we know them as G-bodies now, and this is a very sharp one. Announcing a very supreme Cutlass, a special edition of Oldsmobile's best-selling car with a special paint scheme. White with choice of metallic carmine, camel tan, blue, or green. Bucket seat, two-tone interior, two-tone paint, sharp car. Don't remember really seeing a lot of them done in this color scheme, but a really, really sharp Cutlass for that era. And that is another good point. The Big Job says AMFs are starting to become collectible. I've got a buddy that's got a bunch of motorcycles, and I know he's got some like almost new AMFs. In his collection with like a couple 100 miles on them. So yeah, the AMF bikes are starting to kind of come back up. Let's see, flip up a couple of more pages. To what I think was apparently the Harbor Freight of 1978. We've seen them before. We've caught these in some of the other magazines. The Executive Trading Company featuring Rodak Automotive Tools. Mail order air tools, $49.95 a piece, your choice. Impacts, DAs, air ratchets, butterflies. So I'm assuming this was the Harbor Freight of the day. Executive Trading Company where you could order your air tools from. And obviously, we are in the 70s, May of 1978. So we've got to catch this ad. It's almost as iconic as the Wild Turkey ad for the late 70s, but you've got to have an ad for your Cobra CB radio. Definitely a mainstay back in that day. Everybody had CB radios. Cobra had a full page color ad. Obviously, we've seen color in a lot of the ads. We did not see a lot of color in the articles. So back then, you were spending pretty big bucks to run color ads. So Cobra running full page color ads just to sell CB radios tells you what their status was in the CB world at that point. Another great ad, and this was a very nice, I thought a very tasteful ad. There we go. We got a lot of 10-4s popping up already. So Josh, still waiting on a 5455 Oldsmobile. I've still got that one. I don't know when I'm going to get it. I don't know when he's going to get it dug out. So, but that's the only one I've got coming in. The Bree says they all had CVs. Yeah. And, and there again, they were getting popular anyway with, the movie Convoy, the song Convoy, and then, of course, Smokey and the Bandit. that stuff just went through the stratosphere at that point. In fact, I'm looking at my CB radio trash can right now. Yep, I've got a CB radio trash can right there. Has a bunch of truckers on it, breaks down all the jargon on it. That's how CB radios were so popular that it's a little, it would have been like in a kid's room where it actually has stuff printed around the outside of the can. We did it on a Toy Tuesday, but it's been quite a while back. So I've had it for a while. But yeah, looking at my CB radio trash can right now, right over there. So, Agilon Redmond just found us on Craigslist. This is awesome. Glad you're here. We do it every Sunday night, 7 o'clock. Plus, we do Toy Tuesday live at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So glad you found us. Come back, hang out with us for a while. We got a great group on here, tons of gearheads. We all just hang out and have a good time and check out some cool stuff and talk cars. That's right, number one, Rubber Duck. Going back to some Convoy. The Breeze, CB helped us find the car with the beer at the lake. Be another very important use of for the CB radio. So, Big Job still uses them every day at the asphalt plants and the fellow trucks on the job. Old school people still use Craigslist. Is dead in Canada. Yeah, Craigslist is still pretty strong here. So, with that, thanks. I'm glad you're here. I'm probably butchering your name, Agilon. So I apologize for hacking your name up. But yeah, we do her every week. So tell your friends, jump on with us, have a good time. Jason, stop in at the next choke and puke and throw some groceries down my neck. Yep, that's Sam made it back tonight. Glad you're here, Sam. Yeah, it was definitely its own world. It was definitely a huge part of that era. Obviously still used today, just like Big Job said, uses them every day on the job in his trucks. But back then, I mean, if the Soccer Mom minivans had been around, they would have had them in those, I think. I say everybody had CBs back in the day. So great pieces. Definitely a window in time that is always fun to look back at and remember just from a magazine ad. All the conversation we had just from the magazine ad. Roddy's on with us. Craigslist never really took off in Canada, says number one. And it's still pretty strong here, but Brandon, CB tag. Thanks, Bill. Calling out for the likes again. I appreciate that. But the next ad we're going to get to, and this again, I realize there again, another one that I remember because of my age. Rusty Nails Little Red Express came with a CB. Is the Darren had one in my truck, and in high school, his handle was Puke and Lizard. So there's probably a few Friday nights and a few beer stories that came up with Puke and Lizard for a handle, but it's probably another story for another time. For the next ad, some of the fastest cars in the world will try to keep pace with it. As we all know, in 1978, the Corvette was the pace car. Jason was the Matchbox Kid. So, but a very nice, very tasteful, just simple ad. Just a nice, clean shot of the car, sitting still, nothing weird, of just showing off the line, showing off the color scheme with the decal package on the 78 Corvette pace car. Those cars once also have started to gain in popularity. A car I've always kind of liked. I wouldn't mind having, just never really got real carried away about wanting one. But I've always thought they were kind of neat. Let's see. Bill was the Flying Diamond. Big Job. Guys that don't listen to the guy in the control shack end up with a hood full of asphalt. Darren loves that body style as well. Couple of more ads that we're going to catch, and then we're going to move on to trivia, raffle, new inventory. But just like we talked about the Herb Adams Trans Am in this exact article, there again, you got a whole article on you. You definitely want everybody to know how to find you. So they actually have an ad in the back of the magazine, a small one. Firebird owners, transform your Pontiac sports car into a super street and track. The super street and track star it was meant to be, with Herb Adams' brand new Fire Am Performance Kit. Simple step-by-step instructions, guaranteed foolproof installation. Order your own catalog for $5. After you got done reading the ad about the Herb Adams Fire Am, which was also on the front cover like we looked at, they made sure they knew how to get a hold of them so that you could order your own catalog and build your own Fire Am, just like on the front cover. One more ad we're going to catch, and we've actually looked at this ad previously. I remember seeing this, and just like we were talking about with the Magnum, being a dressed up Cordoba, a decked out kind of a sporty touring type car, sports luxury type car. Ever wonder what happened to the kid that used to burn up 11th Street? Sitting in his new T-top Magnum with the AAR CUDA in the background. And I think we've looked at this ad before, but definitely worth looking at again, full color, and a well thought out ad showing that Dodge's muscle car buyers had matured, and the choice of the matured muscle car driver was the sporty Dodge Magnum. Let's see, Brandon, one of my Cadillac hearses had a CB in it. Yeah, just like on Smokey and the Bandit, Gravedigger, they held them up. They were on, the guys in the hearse called him Gravedigger. They radioed into the Bandit that this is a Gravedigger. They were going to hold those County Mounties as long as they could, or hold them Smokies off. So BW's Garage, now he wants a CB just to have a cool handle. It was cool to have a cool handle. That was no doubt about it if you had a CB. So Bill says, hit the likes. I appreciate it, Bill. I know you're there for me. Big job. Hurst with a CB. That's crazy. Number one, I walked past one of those Pace Vets every day on the way to school until grade 8. It was a dream car. So Martin Designs is back on with us. That's all right. We've still got a little bit to go yet tonight. At least you caught us for part of it. And made it back tonight. So, but that's it. That's what we've got for the May of 1978 issue of Motor Trend. Once again, we could spend hours and hours and hours on every magazine that we pick up because of all the cool car stuff in it. But from the requests last week, we had to have a turkey hunt. It is Thanksgiving. We had to have something with turkey in it. So we did find one, went on a turkey hunt, found it on page 13. So that's what we've got. And we caught turkey hunt for Thanksgiving in the May 78 issue of Motor Trend. So hope everybody enjoyed tonight's magazine. We will have a new one next week and check out some more cool stuff. Let's see. Old school. Did you see the 759 mile GNX on Bring a Trailer for $235? I didn't see it, but I heard about it. So yeah, those GNXs have gotten bonkers. BW Snowman, contemplated navel, down bubbles. Jason, my grandpa was plow jockey. Number one, what bird is on that hood? I assume we're talking about on this Fire Am. It looks like it's a custom deal, and I don't know how well you guys can see it, but this appears to be the head with the wings wrapping around the scoop over here, like the bird is flying forward towards the nose of the car. I don't know how well you can see that. It didn't really give us a real good look at it inside the magazine of a good shot head-on shot of the hood either, but that is definitely a unique bird that was probably a Herb Adams deal that he probably put on that car. Is that factory? I'm sure that's not factory. I'm sure that's a Herb Adams deal. Joe, who's the blonde in the picture on the wall? I think it's Heather Thomas. It's been up there so long, I don't even remember. And I've got that toy in front of it, but I think that's a Heather Thomas picture. Big John, where'd I come up with all the magazines? Well, I've been collecting car stuff my whole life, which means I've been collecting magazines my whole life. And I literally have hundreds and hundreds of them now. So I've bought them up over time. I'd find collections of them. I remember one time me and my dad went and picked up a 52 Buick Special, and there was a box of them in the back seat. I've still got those magazines. So basically just, it's just years and years and years of acquisition, acquiring, and then, putting them in drawers and stacking them up. And since we started doing a magazine on Sunday Night Chat, it's given me something to do with them. The problem is I got to be really careful. We actually busted the cover loose on this one tonight. So I got to be, some of these are almost too fragile to even do this with when we're constantly flipping them back and forth. But it's just over time, auctions, antique shops, back seats of cars, wherever I found them, but I kept them when I found them because I always thought they were cool. I just thought they were cool, so I kept them. Now that we're on here and you guys enjoy them, now we've got something else to do with them and share them with all of you as well. So there really isn't a definitive, I went and bought 500 magazines from a guy. It's just like all the rest of my stuff. It's been years and years and years of collecting that's gotten to this point. And that's actually when my buddy Mike Gowns of Gowns Media told me, he said, you've got to start doing YouTube, dude. You've got all this stuff. You've got all this knowledge. You've been doing it your whole life. You've got to do something with it. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I just said, okay, I guess I'll do something with it. I had no clue. So the magazines I've just had around, and it just is kind of, all this stuff just kind of fits into what we're doing. So I've started incorporating it, and you know, for the most part, you guys seem to like it. So we just keep working on it. Big job. I love them too, but Rubbermaids has Rubbermaids filled with them. Yep. The Breeze, I traded an Autobuff magazine for riding a 70 Superbird. Jason says, yes, Heather Thomas from the Fall Guy. Okay, I never watched Fall Guy, but I think I come from a garage sale or something. It got stuck up there years ago, and I'm not even sure where it came from. So Brandon had a hearse that was built in Hutchinson, Kansas by Collins Coach. It was the first hearse built on the commercial chassis Collins built. So what year was that, Brandon? Just out of curiosity. So that's it for the magazine. Who's up for some trivia? Shipped Old School's can out this week. So Old School is out this week. Everybody else is in. Tonight it's a can, but it's a little bit different, and it's kind of a funky little deal. And it didn't really amount to much, but it's kind of neat. It's kind of different. And I think it was a promotional giveaway deal originally. Number one was given a fellow's collection before he retired to Mexico. Have all the 70s, 80s, and 90s of major publications. Might have to start doing read-alongs for a channel too. So, but tonight, what I'm going to give away, and I had a couple of these, and they came out of an old parts store. They were in some boxes with some spark plugs and other stuff out of this old parts store, and I thought it was kind of weird, so I opened it up and looked at it. And I thought, I'm going to give one of these away just because it's kind of funky and almost borderline cheesy giveaway. So I thought it'd be a good giveaway. This is a kit. Brandon says that hearse is an 1983. Okay. This is a GE light bulb removal kit. Yep. The light bulb removal kit for GE light bulbs. Number one says we'll do it if Old School promises to tell a car joke every broadcast. So what is the GE GE lamp bulb removal kit? Like, so these came out of an old parts store. So I opened it up, just a cardboard can just slides on. Open it up to see what the light bulb removal kit consisted of. Consisted of 3 chunks of hose, basically, is what it amounted to, literally. I assume this would be for like an 1157 bulb. You slid it over the bulb and you could turn it. Comes with various sizes. These are all brand new for different size bulbs. And that's it. Had a little fancy cardboard cutout so you could keep them in order for your bulb removal kit. So there again, it's definitely cheesy, but they're out of an old parts store. It is something that, like I said, was probably something that they handed out to shops when they were out calling on them, seeing what they needed for the week. That's right, BW Garage. So just so the glass didn't break in your fingers, you literally slid it over like this would have been like 1157, turned it out, stuck it back in its holder for your lamp bulb removal kit from General Electric. So something a little different, something kind of cool, definitely automotive related. And like I said, I'm assuming since these came out of an old parts store, these were probably when they were out handing stuff out, handing out sales flyers, taking filter orders, they probably handed these out as a promotional deal. So that's what we're going to give out. And I'm going to give one away for a promotional deal. And I'm going to send it out to tonight's winner of trivia. Kevin says it is kind of a cool kit. So, and that's another good point, number one. So you didn't leave, your fingers didn't leave oil on the bulbs, which generated excessive heat and would burn them out prematurely. That's another good way to look at it. Big Job says KD made a light bulb removal tool also. I don't know if I don't think I'd go quite as far as to call these tools, but I mean, I guess that's kind of what they would be. So anyway, tonight for the lamp bulb removal kit from GE, we watched a video the other day on a Chevrolet Love pickup that I got in. Complete Love, pretty decent old pickup. What was the build date on that truck? Month and year. What was the build date on the Chevy Love? Keep an eye on both formats, Facebook and YouTube, as we get along here and see what we come up with for an answer as we get ready to start talking about the raffle. Obviously, the raffle, just like we've been talking about, we looked at the last couple weeks. Some answers popping up, but nothing as of yet. So keeping an eye. They're coming in fast and furious now at this point, but we don't have an answer as of yet. Like I said, month and year. So we've got some people just hitting the years, but I want month and year. Al got it. August of 73. LNNC's our winner. It was an August of 73 truck. So everybody was all the way around. And of course, so everybody paid attention, knew it was an early Love. I guess if nothing else, we do know that everybody paid attention because most of the guesses are all from 72 to 78. So everybody knew it was an early Love. It wasn't a late Love, but LNNC was our first correct answer with an August of 73 build date on that Chevy Love pickup. So thanks for playing, everybody. And I think I've got your address in the raffle stuff for this month, El, so I can get that out to you, and you will have your own genuine lamp bulb removal kit from General Electric. So Old School says he didn't know that answer anyway. So BW's Garage says, congratulations on your light bulb condoms, El. That's kind of what they are, actually, I guess. So, but this month's raffle, the beautiful Buddy L pickup that we've all been looking at, you guys voted on. This was your guys' choice out of the trucks that I held up. We had two Tonkas and a Buddy L. Everybody voted to give away the Buddy L. You get the light just right. You can see the shine and the gloss in the paint on this truck. It's crazy. I mean, the plastic grill guard's not broken. It is missing the mirror over here, but active front suspension. Well, as active a front suspension as you got in the early 60s in a toy, which was a spring right here and slotted holes so that the axle could go up and down. That's about as active as your suspension could get, but you did have a spring and you did have slotted holes so it would bounce. So that's right. We knew you were joking, BW's Garage, but it was a good joke. So, like I said, great shine, all original tires and hubcaps. Darren says that'd go great with his promos he won last month. You can look in the bed of this truck. The bed they didn't even throw any other toys in the bed of this thing. The bottom side, like we just looked at, not even scratched up or beat up. Great piece. That's right, Big Job, twin I-beam, except it's only got one beam and one spring on this one. But that's the Buddy L. We're going to give that away next weekend. That's right, the Breeze. It is a Ford. It is based off of about a 60 Ford, I believe, is what this was based off of. But a beautiful truck. And can't wait to get this out to this month's winner. The first is literally on a Wednesday. So I just decided we're going to do it next weekend after I get back from Kansas City. We will do the drawing next Sunday night, and we'll have a surprise for the second name out of the big Buick oil can. The names are in there as of now. Who's in there? Who's in there right now? I just dumped a couple of them out. Let's get those scooped back up and make sure everybody is in here. So who's in as of right now? Al Delude is in. Old School says his name fell out. I don't know if yours did or not, but I got them all picked up. There was only about half a dozen of them that fell out. They're all back in the can. We're all good. So Al Delude is in. My dad, Steve, is in. And like we talked about last month, he he does. My dad does buy his chances just like everybody else does. He wanted to play along. I told him that was fine. It's a raffle. Anybody that wants to buy their chances can be in. So he is in. I hope everybody know. I hope nobody has an issue with that. But he wanted to play along, so I told him that's fine, and he buys his chances just like everybody else does. So my dad Steve is in. Brian Winters, BW's Garage is in. Lee Carr is in. Darren Ehrlich is in. Ron Walensky, Big Job, is in. Old School is in. And Lee Carr is in again. He bought in twice to make sure he's got a good chunk of the bucket, I think. Let's see. Big Job, good for my collection. I want to let you know. Big Job says, good for my collection. Whenever you know, he bought 1 million tickets. I don't think we could get 1 million tickets in that. I'd have to go get some more big oil cans. Terry, the t-shirts come in all sizes. I've got right now just large on up, large, extra large, double, and triple. I had mediums, and I'm out of those. Actually, Alex Taylor I think Alex got all my mediums. I only had a couple of them, and I think Alex and her sister wanted mediums. So Alex and Meg Taylor got the mediums that I had, and I sold a couple, and they got the other ones that I had left. And so I've got large, extra large, double X, and triple X. I don't have anything in a tall that is specifically in a tall size. No, Terry, I do not have anything that is specifically listed as a tall size. And once again, t-shirt information is listed in the text part of this video on both Facebook and YouTube, or you can always give me a call and we can get some out to anybody that wants t-shirts. So anyway, next week, last week, if you want to get in on the truck, if you want a shot at the Buddy L or want extra shots like Lee, he bought in again just to make sure he was in there. Get him in this week. Number one says only beer has a tall size. Yeah, that's true too. Big Job says if I'm going to lose, I might as well go big. There you go. So next Sunday, this is going to go out to somebody else's. Roddy R, put my name in. I'll pay if I win. Does it work that way? Nope, it doesn't work that way. Everybody in this packet, this whole packet that I just went through, has already paid. So they're all prepaid. Their names have been printed out and added to the bucket as of right now. So you got one more week. If you wanted to throw it in the mail tomorrow, I'll probably have it when I get back Sunday, and I will be sure to get you in. If you do put it in the mail and it doesn't get here in time, I will put you in for next month's raffle. You can do PayPal. The PayPal information is in there as well. Just make sure you put something on the PayPal note that it's for the raffle, and make sure your contact information is on there just in case you're not on the night we give this truck away. Next Sunday night, we'll do this. I'll have a surprise for the second name out of the bucket, and then we will announce the next raffle for December. All happening next week, next Sunday night. New inventory this week. Didn't have time to do much. Like I said, been trying to get things done for winter. Number one, you got to get collecting those beer signs with the motion, the waterfall style lighting. Those are cool. I do like those. There's no doubt about it. My problem is I've got so ungodly many signs. If I started collecting beer signs, I don't know where I'd put them. Now, I do have beer signs. Don't get me wrong. I do have several beer signs, but I don't have any waterfall ones, but I don't even have any beer signs really hung up. I've just got so many other signs everywhere that don't even really have many of my beer signs hung. New inventory this week. Like I said, I didn't pick anything up until yesterday. I had one come into the yard yesterday. A guy that I knew called me. He wanted to drop one off. 81 Chevy pickup. It's really rough. It was a K10 four-wheel drive, but there's no axles in it, and it's pretty rough. Number one says I could raffle them here. We might do that. Maybe we do that. I don't know. I've got a couple signs I've been thinking about throwing up for the raffle. So maybe we should do another sign. Maybe we could do a beer sign. I'll go look around, see what I got laying around. That might be a good idea too. If you guys like beer signs, we can maybe raffle off one of those. So the 81 Chevy pickup's pretty rough. Jason says you can hang Jason says I can hang them at his place. So then I went and got another pickup yesterday. that is a really good old pickup and something that I didn't really have anything like. I picked up a 1970 International 1100 yesterday, which is a half ton, I think, just a basic long bed 2-wheel drive pickup. But I didn't have anything at all in that era. I've got a couple of Scouts, an early to mid 60s Scout, and then I've got a 79 Scout, but just absolutely nothing in that late 60s, early 70s International. So, at least this is just an old pickup. It's got dings and dents. It was it was a work truck, but pretty much complete, missing the tailgate and a few other little pieces. But there again, finding those old pickups intact anymore in any condition is getting tough. So I was definitely glad to pick that International up. I've got a ton of Internationals, but just nothing, just hadn't found anything in that window. So I was definitely glad to get that. Shot a video on it today, so that'll be coming up soon, which rolls right into the next topic of what's coming up this week on videos. We'll throw another one up tomorrow night from my buddy's yard that I go visit occasionally. I've still got a few more to show you from his place. I've got a lot of new inventory as usual, the way things have been going. I shot several videos today. They're going to be coming up over the next couple of weeks. Big Job says IHC have a heck of a following on Facebook. Yeah, I bet I've got at least 60 International trucks in the yard right now. And that 70 is the newest pickup I've got. As crazy as that sounds, when I've had guys call me for International parts from the 60s and 70s, I had to tell them I don't have anything that new. That's way too new from what I've had for Internationals. So at least I've got that 170, that 70 pickup in now. But did do a video on that today. Did do a video on the one we talked about last week, the Mark 7 Lincoln with a turbo diesel in it. Yep. So we got the video done on the turbo diesel Mark 7 LSC car. Definitely unique. I've always liked the Mark 7. I always thought the Mark 7 was a really unique car. Darren actually runs the Facebook page for 1940 and earlier IHC trucks. So, yep, there's part of our following right there on Facebook. So, but it, like I said, cool car. I always thought that Mark 7 was a neat looking car. I remember some of them when I was younger, how sharp some of those cars were. So, got the video done on that. Did a video on the Auto Bianchi, which I've been telling you guys about for a really long time and just haven't gotten done. But it's it's a neat little car. It's rough. I mean, I had to look stuff up to learn to do the video on it because I knew that's how little I knew about Auto Bianchis. But I did that. Plus, some of you guys may not have even seen some of the videos. The new yard, what I call the new yard, over on the north side of me, there's about almost 400 cars in there. I bought that as a unit. It's been there for decades. It's been hung up in an estate for years. I finally got it bought about a year and a half ago. And I've done a bunch of videos in there. I'm a little over 3/4 of the way through it on doing videos. However, this year I have bought so many cars and trucks that so much of this year has been focused on new inventory that I just haven't gotten over there to do any videos. So, there's probably 30 or 40 cars in there yet that I need to show you at least. And I did go over there and did another video in there today just because I've got to get back on some of that stuff and show you that stuff because everything in that side, there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's been there for years. It's sitting where it got dropped 30 or 40 years ago when it came in. So got another video done over there. So the next couple of weeks, that's what's coming up. The new inventory on the International, the Turbo Diesel Mark 7, the Auto Bianchi, which I've been telling you guys about for quite a while, and some stuff in the new yard. So, and still have a ton of cars and trucks to pick up. Old school Senior Dotson 510s. No, don't see any of those. Oh, some other stuff that did come in this week as well that is not necessarily, once again, worth stuff that you might not think of as a collector vehicle, but they're starting to get old. So I'm thinking about them. I'm trying to think about what to keep. Big Job says he knew a chick named Bianchi in the day. A couple cars that came in that I'm going to keep, and we'll do some videos on them. Even though they're only 30 years old, but they're again, I say only 30 years old. They're now 30 years old. One of them is a little two-door Cutlass, early 90s, 91, 92 Cutlass. That it was when that body style came out in 88, that was the pace car that year. That's something else I've got interesting. I've actually got a set of pace car doors off of a probably a festival car because it was cut up. It was an auto factory convertible, 88 Cutlass convertible with the actual doors off the Indy Pace car. But this little early night, maybe it's an 89, 90, 91 Cutlass, something like that. Two-door. Back then, little did we know at the time, Oldsmobile was on its last leg. They were gone 10 years after that. But in the early 90s, that little Cutlass, I mean, they were huge in drag racing, the Warren Johnson cars. Oldsmobile, in fact, I think Oldsmobile was the car of NHRA for a few years back then. So that that car is, we'll do a video on it because that body style, you don't see them very often anymore. They were somewhat sporty. Oldsmobile was heavily involved in motorsports at that point with those cars. So I'm going to keep it. We'll do a video on it. Another car that came in with that you don't ever see anymore. Are these ever going to be popular? I have no idea, but I've got a couple of them and I'm going to keep them just in case, is an Oldsmobile Silhouette van, which was a very unique minivan for that day. Big Job says Dennis Collins scored some great cars in his last video and he got a pace car there. So, so we'll do some videos on that stuff as well. And there again, a lot of people on here, and some people, I've had people get upset with me saying, that's not a collector car. Well, like we talked about before, the kids that just graduated last year from high school were born in 2003. So something from the early 90s, late 80s is an old car to them. So we need to keep that in mind. So we'll do some content on those vehicles as well. But anyway, that's what's coming up. That's correct. Old school Silhouettes were like a Transport. I've also got a Pontiac Transport in stock. Is anybody ever going to want them? I don't know. I really don't. I can't answer that question. But I'm going to keep them because, 20 years ago, who wanted an old station wagon? And now they're one of the hottest things out there. So nobody may ever want them. Who knows? But, I'm going to go ahead and keep them around, keep them in stock because we never know. And the old school line, I like the 80s Aerostar boxy ones. And that's same thing. Those boxy Aerostars, they were Ford's answer to Chrysler's minivan. People are going to have memories of those vans. My aunt had one. She had an Eddie Bauer one of those Aerostars, and we drove it a couple summers to my grandpa's Army reunions. When he'd go to his Army reunion, me and some of my cousins and a couple aunts and my mom, we would drive that Eddie Bauer Aerostar to my grandpa's Army reunions. So there are people that are going to have memories of those. And like Roddy R says, in the 70s, Mustang wasn't a collector car. Exactly. So is an old Silhouette something super cool? Not to most people. Is it super cool to some people? I bet it is. So there again, we never know what's going to be popular, but they're different. Number one says they make pickups out of the Transports and Lumina vans on the farms around here. So, but hey, it's different. We don't see them very often anymore. Let's do a video on it. Let's check it out. Maybe somebody out there likes them. Maybe it brings back a good memory for them. Let's see what we got to keep saving this stuff because once it's all flat, it's gone. Period. None of it's any good once it's flat. So I'll keep them around. If nobody ever wants anything off of them, eventually they'll probably get crushed. But for the time being, I'm going to hold them for a while. Number one says the Silhouette was the Cadillac of minivans. Yeah. But anyway, that's pretty much what I've got going on. That's pretty much what happened in my week. That's right, Big Job. Memories drive everything we buy in cars. That's 100% true. Roddy R says one new age doodlebug. Jason says look like a doorstop. Yeah, they did kind of look like a doorstop. But there again, it's different. Kevin, that's why I've kept my 1998 Chevy pickup. They're starting to get popular. Something that, the 88 to 98 or, 99, if you consider the work truck, Chevy pickups. I've been gathering some of those as well. We haven't done any videos on those, but I've had 3 or 4 of those come in this year. I had a 98 Yukon come in, 97 Chevy 4-wheel drive, extended cab, short bed. I'm going to keep them. Old school, never see original Caravans anymore. And I agree with that. I've come up with a couple of those old 80s minivans over the last few years, and I've kept them. I mean, I lined them up out there in the Chrysler row because there again, you don't see them anymore. And for years, everybody threw this stuff away, and you look at all of it, And Darren says, look at Mecum listings, late 90s Ford pickups on there. And that's 100% true. And those 94.5 to 97 Power Strokes are bringing good money. Look at the 94 to 02 Dodge with Cummins. Trucks are bringing crazy money. And so and that's right. Bill says Cash for Clunkers. Cash for Clunkers took out so much of that 70s and 80s stuff. That put a huge dent in what's going to be left for the collector world down the road. But that's a good point, Bill. Cash for Clunkers took a lot of that stuff out. When was that? 08, 09, 10, somewhere around in there. You got to look at that. At that point, those cars from the 70s and 80s were 20, 30 years old. Nobody wanted them. And a lot of that stuff went in Cash for Clunkers. Bill says, good night. Have fun. Be safe. Great. That's absolutely right. Glad you made it. Jason says, everyone crushed the Caravan. True. Nobody ever thought anybody would want them. Number one, came across a Chevy minivan concept based on a J platform that looked like the Ford Carousel that became Chrysler minivans. It's funny how all that stuff kind of comes around and turns around like that. So, but anyway, I'm going to get ready to bail off. Huge thanks to everybody that jumped on tonight and hung out and had a good time. If, definitely be back next week. Toy Tuesday, I'll still be here Tuesday night. We'll still do Toy Tuesday. Like we talked about, lots of cool new inventory videos coming up. Old School says Cash for Clunkers was an Obama idea because the economy is weak. It boosted new car sales. And it did boost new car sales, but man, a lot of cool stuff went to the shredders. Joe says, like the magazine tonight. Don't forget the World War II stuff. Definitely. Darren says good night. Jason says thanks. So we'll definitely catch Toy Tuesday live. The videos I'll have up and ready, so I'll post if I have to. We'll try to bring some content from Mecum, Kansas City. Bring you a little bit from there. Hopefully some of you guys are going to be there. Hey, if some of you guys are there, catch me and we'll do some videos together and check out at Mecum. So I plan on being there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I'll be around. Look me up, give me a shout, and just give me a call if you can't find me, if I'm around there, and we'll definitely hook up. Kevin says good night, everybody. And we'll be back next week. And somebody is going to be getting a Buddy L next week. Plus, we'll get a prize for the second name out of the big Buick can and announce the new raffle next week. So, good night, everybody. Thanks for being here. Great crowd tonight. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you taking, I guess what's kind of turning into most of your Sunday evening to be on here with me. And we're moving right along. So, see you all Tuesday night for Toy Tuesday. We'll check out some more cool toys and memorabilia. I got, I don't know if we may even go to the other shop Tuesday night. I haven't decided. I've got some big signs over there that are way too big to drag over here for Toy Tuesday, so we'll have to go to the other shop to do those. Big Job says, good show as always, guys. This Sunday is complete with a Church of Iron and Oil and Father Chad. Thanks, Big Job. Appreciate that. So we'll definitely do some more cool stuff Toy Tuesday. Haven't decided for sure. That's right. Roddy says that it even hurt the 90s era vehicles on Cash for Clunkers. That's 100% right. So that took a lot of that 80s and 90s stuff out of the world that people are going to be looking for parts for. So I'm just trying to be cognizant of what to keep and what to hold on to that point. Eloy says, see you later. Number one, his pies are cooling. Well, maybe we should bake pies for all of us. That doesn't sound like a bad plan either. So I'm going to get going. Got some work to do yet tonight. Appreciate everybody being here. We'll see you Tuesday night. Hopefully we may even run into a few of you at Mecum. If not, we'll see you back here next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Central Time for Sunday Night Live Chat. We're going to give that Buddy L away. We're going to check out another magazine. We're going to have a great time. Thanks for being here, everybody, and we will see you then.